Across almost every culture, there's a shared idea that life is too short, life is not enough, and humans need more time in order to experience more or achieve more, and that it's unfair that our life is so short. This is shared throughout all human cultures, all throughout time, and it has influenced a lot of human literature and language. A lot of the time, people talk about how time flies and how life is super short, and how they wish they had more life, and that it's really unfair that life is this short, but Seneca has a different view on this. Seneca, in his essay on the shortness of life, states, "It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. Life is long enough and our allotted portion generous enough for our most ambitious projects if we invest it all carefully. But when it is squandered through luxury and indifference and spent for no good end, we realize that it has gone, under the pressure of the ultimate necessity, before we were aware it was going. So it is. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so. We are not ill provided, but we use what we have wastefully." Seneca believes that our lives are long enough, we're provided with enough time, and that we can use it. If we use it carefully, we can achieve whatever we need to achieve. He talks about how time spent on luxurious activities and indifferent activities which have no good end at the end of the day, or time wasted. Every precious moment that we had in this present moment to spend on something meaningful, we waste it on luxury or indifference. Even though this was written 2,000 years ago, it's still very applicable to today's life because people are wasting their time as much as they were before, and even arguably more so with the use of social media and technology. I mean, just think about how many hours you might have spent doom scrolling on Instagram or on TikTok. How many hours you spent just going through content that you don't remember, that didn't serve you in any way, that didn't make your life any more meaningful. I mean, when you're doom scrolling, can you even remember the last 3 posts you looked at? We spend so much time doom scrolling and putting our energy and life and precious time into activities that have no good end, that even if we lived 1,000 years, we would spend 999 years just scrolling and wasting it away if we kept up with this current lifestyle that we have. So it's not that our life is short, but that we waste it. It's not that we don't live long enough in order to achieve what we want, but it's that we choose to live in a way that wastes the time that we have. So we spend all this time scrolling on social media and doing all these useless activities which add no meaning to our life, and when it comes to the end of our life, we're complaining about how short it was. Why was it so short? Why did it go by so quickly? It's that we wasted most of it, even though we were giving so much. So the idea is that we don't have to live longer, we have to live better. The other lesson Seneca talks about is, why do we let other people take away our time? Why do we let other people steal our time, our most invaluable resource? Our time is something that we cannot get back in any way. So why do we let people just take it from us? A lot of the time we're preoccupied with the problems of others and the drama they create and the opinions they have and the fights that are going on, that we lose our own time in our own life. When we spend our time dealing with drama and fighting and unnecessary opinions from other people around us, we squander our time that we're given, the precious, invaluable resource that we're given in this life, on the opinions of others, on useless drama that is for no good end. So when we look back and evaluate our life, we want to see how much of it has been used on people's drama, people's unnecessary opinions, people's random fights that come up that lead to no good end, that really have no meaning and don't achieve anything good. By evaluating our life and realizing which sections of it are being spent on unnecessary drama and meaningless fights, we can cut out these sections and live our life more fully and take advantage of the time that we're given. Seneca in his essay states, "Wretched is the state of all men who are preoccupied, but especially wretched are those who suffer with preoccupations not even their own, who regulate their rest by another man's sleep, who adjust their gait to another man's pace, and whose loves and hates, where freedom is of the essence, are prescribed by order. If such men wish to know how short their life is, let them think how small a fraction is of their own." Furthermore, why do we let people steal our time and take away such an invaluable resource? We would never let someone just steal our property. We would never let someone steal our house and steal our belongings. But when it comes to our time, which we can never get back, which is so precious, we freely hand it away to people. We freely hand it away to random drama. We freely hand it away to random opinions of us. We freely hand it away to things that don't matter. On this point, Seneca states, "Men will never allow anyone to take possession of their estates, and at the slightest dispute on boundary lines, they pick up stones and rush to arms. But they do allow others to trespass on their lives, and themselves introduce intruders who will eventually claim full possession. Nobody on earth is willing to distribute his money, but everybody shares out his life, and to all comers. Men are very strict in keeping their patrimony intact, but when it comes to squandering time, they are most lavish of the one item where miserlessness is respectable. So we have to realize that time is just like any other possession that we have, and it is actually the most invaluable possession we have because we can never get it back. So when we give out our time to random people, when we give out our time to random social media companies, when we just spend all of this time and throw it away, we have to realize that we're basically giving away our money. We're basically giving away something extremely important, and we just don't care about it because it's not something physical. So if we want to live a more fulfilling life, we have to treat time as a possession. We have to treat time as a property that we own, and we shouldn't just freely give it away to whatever unnecessary situation comes up. The next lesson Seneca wants to teach us is that the future steals from the present. So when we're sitting down and worrying about the future constantly, when we're planning on things, and when we're worrying, and when we're just looking forward to some kind of freedom, some kind of release in the future, we are losing the present moment. The present moment that we actually own. The future we will never own. The future is always out of our reach. But the present moment which we live in currently, as of this moment, we own, and we can live it fully. But when we sit down and constantly worry about the future, constantly worry about how am I going to get through this? How am I going to do this? And when this time comes, I'm going to finally be happy. When I get my diploma, I'm finally going to be happy. When I get this job, I'm finally going to be happy. You are taking away from the present moment that is so precious in this life. You are taking away from it every time you spend all this time thinking about the future. Now that doesn't mean don't plan at all for the future. That's pretty much impossible. You need to plan out your life. But it means don't spend unnecessary amounts of time worrying about the future, because every second you spend worrying about the future, and every second you spend living in the future and trying to imagine living in the future and the happiness and the freedom you're going to get in the future, you give away your precious time in the present that you actually own right now. In his essay, Seneca states, "Everyone accelerates life's pace and is sick with anticipation of the future and loathing of the present. But the man who puts all of his time to his own uses, who plans every day as if it were his last, is neither impatient for the morrow nor afraid of it." So this mindset of constantly living in the future and imagining the future and planning for the future and worrying about the future is taking away from the one moment you actually own, which is the present moment, which you can fully live. The next lesson Seneca talks about is pretty similar to the last lesson, but it's to begin to live right now in the present moment. Sometimes we live our life in the present moment in order to just plan for the future. We essentially sacrifice the present moment for the future. A lot of the time people plan their life around their retirement. A lot of the time people plan their life around the end of their career, around the time when they think they will finally be happy, they will finally have the freedom. So they live their present moment, they spend every present moment in sacrifice for the future. I mean, we hear it all the time, I'll work, I'll keep working, I'll just do work, I'll focus on the future, and I'll enjoy my retirement will be great. So that mindset turns us into is essentially a vessel for our future selves to live in, even though we have our own time right now that we could be living. I mean, what guarantee you have that you'll make it to the age of retirement? What guarantee you have that there's no horrible accident that will happen? Who is making sure that everything goes according to your plans? Having this kind of mindset essentially pushes someone to spend 60 to 80% of their life just living and planning for the future. And then when it comes time to actually live their life, when it comes to actually enjoy their life in the present moment, they only have 20% of their life left because they have spent 80% of it just planning for that 20%. And that is when they start complaining, life is too short, life is too unfair, I need more time in this life. Even though you've spent all the present moment loathing the present moment and looking toward the future. On this point, Seneca says, "Many a man will say, after my 50th year, I shall retire and relax. My 60th year will release me from my obligations. And what guarantee do you have that your life will be longer? Who will arrange that your program shall proceed according to plan? Are you not ashamed to reserve for yourself only the tail end of your life, and to allot to serious thought only such time as cannot be applied to business? How late an hour to begin to live when you must depart from life? What stupid obliviousness to mortality to postpone counsels of sanity to the 50s or the 60s, with the intention of beginning life at an age few have reached." The next lesson Seneca talks about is that the science of life takes a lifetime. Even though we have a limited time in this life, learning to actually live life fully takes a whole lifetime to learn. You need to live through many years. You need to learn how to feel things in certain ways. You need to know what is meaningful and what is not. Learn to separate things that are wasting your time. And unlike the other sciences, you can't just sit down and have one lesson and learn the facts and this is how you do it and there you go. It's not that simple. The science of life takes a long time to learn. And even though a lot of people devote their life into learning how to live life, in order to learn how to live a good, meaningful life and have a fulfilling death on their deathbed, a lot of the time they end up confessing that they actually didn't figure it out. Life is very difficult and twisted. There's a lot of lessons that need to be learned. There's a lot of situations that we need to go through, and it can't always have the most fulfilling ending. But as long as we have the opportunity to make our life fulfilling, we should try to do so. Seneca on this point states, "Experts in other disciplines are numerous and common. Some of them mere boys have been able to master so thoroughly that they could even play the teacher. But the science of life requires a whole lifetime, and the science of dying, which you may find more surprising, requires a whole lifetime." So that's just some lessons from Seneca's writings in his Stoic philosophy. Seneca was a Roman senator who wrote letters to his colleagues, who wrote letters to people that wrote letters to him asking for help, and a lot of the things that we have learned are from his letters to other people or his personal essays that he wrote down. He's one of the great Stoic philosophers that lived in Rome at that time, and if you guys want to learn more about him, there's a link in the description that you can click and read more about him. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found these lessons useful, fulfilling. Maybe you can use them in your own life to live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Please hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this content. I will be making more of this content. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and comment below your thoughts on any of these lessons. Thank you so much for watching.